You don't get angry because of people. You get angry because something inside you is still exposed. And the moment someone finds that exposure, they don't need power to control you. They only need timing. That's the part most men never understand. Anger feels justified, but in reality, it reveals something far more dangerous, a loss of control over your own state. In the language of power, that's a weakness, because the man who can be triggered can be guided. In this video, you'll see why reactions happen before you even realize it, how others use them without touching you, and how to reach a level where nothing disturbs your position again. Watch closely, because once you understand this, you stop reacting and start controlling everything. The emotional trap. Why reaction is the first sign of weakness. Anger feels powerful in the moment, but it exposes something far more dangerous than weakness. Loss of control. The instant you react, the frame shifts. Not in your favor, because reaction is not action. Reaction is submission to external influence. And most men don't realize this while it's happening. They think anger is justified. They think the situation demanded it. They believe someone else caused it. That belief is the trap. Machiavelli viewed emotional loss of control as a strategic failure. A man who cannot govern himself cannot govern outcomes. The moment your state is dictated by another person or situation, you've already surrendered position. That surrender is invisible, but it changes everything. Consider what actually happens when you react. Someone says something, does something, creates pressure, and instead of holding position, you respond immediately. Tone changes, behavior shifts, energy rises. Now they have information. They've identified your trigger. They've mapped your response. They know exactly what moves you, and what can be moved, can be controlled. This is why reaction is never neutral. It teaches people how to handle you. Watch real interactions closely. The moment a man reacts emotionally, the dynamic changes. The other person either pushes further or steps back with quiet confidence. Because they've just confirmed something important, you are influenceable. And influenceable men are predictable. Predictable men are easy to manage. That's the hidden cost. Not the anger itself, but the pattern it reveals. Most men repeat this cycle constantly. Small irritations, quick reactions, subtle losses of control that accumulate over time. They don't see it as weakness because it feels natural. But what feels natural is often untrained. The man who operates differently does one thing most cannot. He pauses, not out of hesitation, but out of control. He does not give immediate access to his reaction. He does not allow external behavior to dictate his internal state. He observes first, interprets second, and responds only if it serves his position. That delay changes everything, because now the interaction is no longer emotional. It becomes strategic. No one can map a reaction that doesn't exist. No one can predict a response that is chosen, not triggered. And once that pattern is established, something shifts permanently. People stop testing as often. They become more calculated around you. They lose confidence in their ability to provoke. Because the moment they cannot move you, they lose their leverage. The trigger illusion. How others control you without touching you. No one forces you to react. They only press what already exists. That distinction is where control is either lost or taken back. Most men believe they are responding to reality. Someone disrespects them, delays them, challenges them, and the reaction feels automatic. It feels justified. But that feeling is the illusion, because what actually happened was far simpler. A stimulus appeared, and your internal pattern completed the rest. Machiavellian analysis treats this as leverage. The man who understands your triggers does not need strength, authority, or status to influence you. He only needs timing. Consider how precise this becomes. A certain tone shifts your mood. A specific type of comment creates tension. A predictable situation produces the same emotional response every time. None of this is random. It is conditioning, and conditioning can be used against you. The moment your reaction becomes predictable, Control is no longer yours. It belongs to whoever understands the pattern. Watch how this plays out in real interactions. Someone introduces a small provocation. Not enough to justify escalation, just enough to test your response. You react, slightly at first, then more. Now they've confirmed it. They know where the pressure point is. From that moment forward, they don't need to confront you directly. They can guide your state with minimal effort. A word here, a delay there, a look at the right moment, and you respond again. That is control without contact. Most men never recognize this because they focus on the surface. They blame the situation, the person, the environment. They believe the trigger exists outside them. It doesn't. The trigger is internal. That is the uncomfortable truth. Because if it is internal, it means responsibility cannot be avoided. It means the pattern must be broken deliberately. The man who operates at a higher level understands this completely. He does not eliminate emotion. He eliminates automatic response. When pressure appears, he does not complete the pattern. He interrupts it. He allows the stimulus to exist without attaching reaction to it. That gap is where control returns. And once that gap is established, everything changes. No one can guide your state if the pattern no longer completes. No one can predict your response if the trigger no longer produces a reaction. Over time, people sense this shift. Their attempts become less frequent. Their confidence in provoking you disappears because the mechanism no longer works. And the moment the mechanism fails, so does their control. Type "no triggers left" below and subscribe if you're done letting others control your reactions. The internal throne. Why control begins before the situation does. Control is never decided in the moment. It is decided before the moment ever arrives. What looks like composure under pressure is not created there. It is revealed there. And most men misunderstand this completely. They wait for the situation, then try to manage themselves inside it. That's already too late. Because once pressure appears, your mind does not create a new response. It defaults to what is already installed. That's the real mechanism. Machiavellian thought treats the mind as territory. If you do not govern it in advance, something else will govern it for you when it matters. Consider how this plays out. A situation appears. Conflict, delay, disrespect, uncertainty. In that moment, there is no time to build control. The response comes instantly, not from logic, but from conditioning. And conditioning is built long before the event. Most men operate without awareness of this. They allow their thoughts to move without direction. They let emotions form without examination. They react internally all day, then expect stability when it counts. That expectation fails every time, because the internal environment was never structured. The man who operates differently establishes control before anything happens. He defines how he will interpret pressure. He decides what deserves a reaction and what does not. He builds a standard that remains fixed regardless of circumstance. That is the internal throne. Not a feeling, not a mindset that appears occasionally. A position that is held consistently. Watch the difference in real situations. When pressure appears, most men are pulled into it. Their attention narrows. Their thinking speeds up. Their state becomes reactive. The man with internal control does not enter that state. He observes the situation without absorbing it. He does not let external movement dictate internal direction. His response is not created by the event. It is chosen according to the structure he already built. That changes everything, because now the situation does not control him. He controls how the situation is processed. And once that control is established, reactions disappear. Not suppressed, replaced. Replaced by deliberate action. Over time, this creates a different kind of presence. One that feels stable regardless of what happens externally. People notice it without understanding it, because most operate from reaction, while you operate from predefined control. That is what separates the two. The man who waits for the moment loses it. The man who prepares before it never needs to fight for control when it arrives. The detachment shift. How removing need eliminates anger. Anger does not come from the situation. It comes from attachment to an outcome. The moment something interferes with what you wanted to happen, the reaction appears, not because the event was powerful, but because your expectation was. That's the real source. Most men never examine this. They focus on what happened instead of what they were attached to. Respect, agreement, speed, control, validation. When any of these are disrupted, the response feels automatic. But it isn't automatic. It is dependency being exposed. Machiavellian strategy treats dependency as vulnerability. The more you need a specific outcome, the easier it becomes to destabilize you. Remove that need, and the leverage disappears. Consider how precise this is. If you expect respect, disrespect triggers you. If you expect agreement, opposition disturbs you. If you expect control, unpredictability creates frustration. Each reaction is tied to a condition you placed on reality, and reality does not follow your conditions. That mismatch creates tension. Now remove the condition. The moment you stop needing a specific outcome, the situation loses its ability to disturb you. Not because you became passive, but because nothing is being threatened anymore. Watch how this changes behavior. Someone disrespects you. Without attachment, it becomes information, not a trigger. A delay occurs. Without urgency, it becomes irrelevant, not frustrating. A challenge appears. Without ego investment, it becomes something to assess, not react to. Everything shifts, because anger requires something to protect. And when nothing needs protecting, anger has no function. Most men resist this because they confuse detachment with weakness. They believe letting go of expectation means lowering standards. It doesn't. Standards remain. Dependency is removed. You still act. You still decide. You still move with direction. But your state is no longer tied to whether things go your way. That separation creates control. The man who needs nothing from the moment cannot be destabilized by it. No one can manipulate him through outcome, approval, or resistance, because there is nothing to take. Over time, this becomes visible. People sense that their behavior does not shift you. Their words do not move you. Their actions do not control your state. And once that realization sets in, something changes. They stop trying, because the mechanism that once worked no longer exists. The frame control. Why nothing affects a man who defines reality. Nothing affects you until you accept its meaning. That is where control is either held or lost. Every situation arrives without definition. Words are spoken, actions happen, events unfold, but none of it carries fixed meaning until you interpret it. And interpretation determines your state. Most men never see this layer. They assume reality is objective. They believe events come with built-in meaning. Disrespect feels like disrespect. Delay feels like inconvenience. Challenge feels like threat. But that is not reality. That is interpretation. And interpretation can be controlled. Machiavelli approached power through perception. The man who controls how things are perceived controls how they are experienced. Lose that control, and external events begin shaping your internal state without resistance. Consider how this plays out. Someone speaks to you in a certain tone. One man reads it as disrespect and reacts. Another reads it as insecurity and remains calm. Same event, different meaning, completely different outcome. That difference is not personality, it is frame. Frame is the lens through which you define reality. If your frame is weak, reality defines you. If your frame is strong, you define reality. Watch what happens when this is reversed. Instead of accepting the first interpretation that appears, you pause and assign your own meaning. You decide what matters and what doesn't. You decide what deserves response and what is irrelevant. That decision changes everything, because once meaning is self-assigned, external influence loses its power. No one can provoke you with something you don't accept as a threat. No one can disturb you with something you classify as insignificant. No one can control your state if they cannot control your interpretation. That is the shift. Most men operate inside other people's frames without realizing it. They react based on how something appears, not based on how they choose to see it. And that keeps them reactive. The man who operates at a higher level does the opposite. He defines first, then responds. He does not accept default meanings. He creates them. He does not let the situation dictate emotional direction. He dictates how the situation will be processed. Over time, this creates something powerful. Consistency, not because situations become easier, but because your interpretation remains stable. And stability removes reaction. Because when you define reality, nothing enters your mind without permission. Hit like and type I define the frame below if you decide what anything means before it touches you. The silent power, how composure becomes psychological dominance. Composure is not calmness. It is controlled power without visible effort. Most men misunderstand this. They think staying calm is passive, soft, or inactive. In reality, composure is one of the most aggressive forms of control a man can hold, because it denies others access to his internal state. And access is what people look for. Every interaction contains an unspoken objective, not just communication, but influence. People test, provoke, pressure, and observe, not always consciously, but consistently. They are looking for a response they can measure, because once they measure it, they can work with it. Machiavellian strategy treats visible emotion as information leakage. The moment your internal state becomes readable, your position becomes easier to predict. And what can be predicted can be influenced. That is the hidden vulnerability. Now remove that visibility. The moment your reactions stop appearing on the surface, something shifts instantly. The interaction slows down. The other person becomes uncertain. Their confidence drops slightly because the feedback they expect is missing. That missing feedback creates pressure. Watch how this unfolds. Someone pushes for a reaction. Tone sharpens. Words become more direct. Behavior becomes slightly provocative. They are searching for confirmation, but nothing appears. No visible irritation, no defensive tone, no emotional fluctuation, just controlled presence. Now the dynamic changes, because without reaction, they cannot measure you. Without measurement, they cannot adjust. Without adjustment, their influence disappears. This is where composure becomes dominance. Not through force, not through aggression, but through absence of response. Most men fail at this point because they feel the pressure internally and release it externally. They respond just to relieve tension. They speak, react, or adjust to stabilize the moment. That is the mistake, because the moment you release that tension outward, you give them exactly what they were looking for. The man who operates differently absorbs the pressure without expressing it. He allows the tension to exist without resolving it through reaction. That creates asymmetry. They are active, searching, adjusting. You are still, observing, unaffected. Over time, this imbalance becomes obvious. One side is trying to gain control. The other already has it. And people recognize this. Even if they cannot explain it, they become more careful, more calculated, more restrained around you. Because the moment they realize they cannot read you, they understand they cannot move you. The untouchable state, when nothing can reach you anymore. The untouchable state is not built in comfort. It is built after every reaction has been stripped away, not suppressed, removed. Most men think being unaffected means nothing happens internally. That is false. Pressure still appears, situations still test, people still provoke. What changes is not the world. What changes is access. Nothing reaches you unless you allow it to pass through your control. That is the distinction. Machiavellian thought frames this as absolute self-governance. The man who cannot be influenced emotionally cannot be controlled strategically. Once that level is reached, external forces lose their primary weapon, your reaction. Consider what this actually looks like. Disrespect appears. It is observed, not absorbed. Delay happens. It is processed, not felt. Provocation occurs. It is evaluated, not reacted to. Everything still exists, but nothing enters your internal state without permission. That permission is where power lives. Most men operate without this filter. Everything passes through. Every word, every action, every situation affects them directly. Their state fluctuates constantly based on external input. That is instability, and instability is exploitable. The man who becomes untouchable builds a barrier before the reaction forms. Not a wall of suppression, but a system of control. He decides what matters, what deserves attention, and what is irrelevant before anything happens. That pre-selection changes everything, because now, most situations are filtered out before they can create movement. Watch how this shifts behavior over time. People test less. They provoke less. They engage differently, not because they understand you fully, but because their usual methods stop working. There is no reaction to measure, no emotional entry point to exploit, no predictable pattern to use. And when that happens, something becomes clear to them. Influence is no longer possible. That realization creates distance, not forced, but natural, because people move toward what they can affect and away from what they cannot. This is why the untouchable state feels isolating, not because you rejected others, but because your internal control removed the mechanisms they relied on. Fewer reactions, fewer openings, fewer access points. But in exchange, something far more valuable is gained: stability. Your state no longer depends on people, situations, or outcomes. It remains fixed regardless of what happens externally. And once that level is reached, nothing in the environment has the ability to reach inside and change you. Now you understand what most men never will. Nothing was ever making you angry. It was exposing where you were still controllable. And once that's clear, everything changes. Because control was never outside. It was always internal. If this shifted how you see your reactions, don't let it stay as just information. Hit like so this message reaches others still being controlled without realizing it. Subscribe, because this is just the surface of real psychological power. And share this with someone who still thinks anger is strength. Stay controlled, stay unreadable, and never give anyone access to your state again.